Welcome, everyone, and call to order the Monday, September 15th, 2025 meeting of the Lake Zurich Village Board. Clerk Johnson, please call the roll.
Mayor Poyton,
Present.
Trustee Barajuwan,
Aye.
Trustee Marks,
Here.
Trustee Spicone,
Present.
Trustee Shagru,
Here.
Trustee Wider,
Present.
Trustee Riley is absent and excused.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stand and deliver.
Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for residents to comment briefly on matters included on the agenda and otherwise of interest to the Board of Trustees. Public comment is limited to 30 minutes in total and up to 5 minutes per speaker. We will take public comments first from the sign-in sheet in the order in which folks signed in. When you step to the podium, please speak clearly into the microphone, identify yourself with your name and address for the record, and please direct your comments to the board. So we have 4 people on the sign-up list. Does anybody want to sign up beyond these 4 people before we get going? Okay. Then the first person on the sign-up list is John Roach. John?
My name is John Roach. I live at 37 Mayansky Drive in Lake Zurich. I'm here to comment about the overall problems we have in this village with parking. And we're trying to make it even worse with the new Lot A buildings that they're putting in that need about 30 to 35 more parking places that are available for the restaurants and still leaving parking for people to come down and enjoy the promenade. And I think we need to make sure that that's what we get. One of the ideas I have thought about is we buy Mayansky apartments and turn that into parking for the entire area down there. And I'm hoping it happens. The other comment I had was when we first started the construction this summer, I was told that the construction vehicles would not be going down Mayansky Drive and Lake Street. They're going down there every day. Big trucks. And we just had that stuff repaved, and they've my house actually shakes when they come down the road. And so I hope the street lasts for another year or 2 before it falls apart. Okay, have a good one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Next is Chris Stachowiak.
Chris Stachowiak, 2 Newgate Court, Lake Zurich. Members of the Village Board, Mr. Mayor. I'm also concerned about the planned unit development. I read the packet in its entirety. I was trying to find the videos of the Planning Commission meeting, but I couldn't find the videos online. I wanted to see what they voted, what the discussion was. I'm concerned about parking, as the other gentleman was. The 15 spaces that they've allocated by the promenade, you can forget those for use by village people coming down to visit. They're going to be tied up by the restaurant. That's just a given. I'm looking at the street down there. We took a chance during Rock the Block. I walked down and looked at it. Main Street's been narrowed down there. It's awfully narrow, and you're going to put in 30, how many different townhouses? 39 townhouses? 2 cars per townhouse? Where are you going to get those cars in and out on that narrow street? I'm also concerned about where you're going to put the snow. In the wintertime, if you get a 6-inch snow, if it's that tight in parking, how many parking places are they going to take up piling snow someplace that now aren't going to be available that they're going to have for both the restaurant or residents parking? So I don't know if any of these things have been considered, but you guys need to take a real look at this. From what I read in the packet, village staff seems to want to push this in no matter what, regardless of what the village planning commission has said. They voted no. Reading the staff's opinion and what they said, they want to push this in because it's something in Block A to get developed that hasn't been developed in so long. Please do your due diligence. You should have. Think about the things some of the other people have said and why the planning commission voted it down. They did vote it down for a good reason. They represent the village residents as well as the village itself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is Derek Goodman. Do you want to wait for your presentation? Derek is with the Huron Group, so you can wait for then. And then the next one is Claudette Dybeck.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, staff. I'm here to talk about Block A, which I live right across from it. When Mayor Point was mayor, he was responsible for putting up the 2 apartment buildings, Water's Edge, across from Bill's Boat on Main Street. The developer came to him and asked him, say, put another building behind for parking that you could have for the residents. Mayor Paula said, no, I want it for the parking, extra parking for the residents. That's how much he cared for the residents. There isn't any parking there. There never will be any parking there. Also, Mayor Paulus, the mayor he was for the people, the old timers like me, he went to Mrs. Miller and said, sell me your land, which was Paulus Park, all that land she owned. She said, you know what, I don't want to walk down the street and have people pointing their fingers at me saying, oh, you're costing us tax dollars, you just want to make money. So she said, I'll tell you what, Mayor, you put it to a referendum, and if the people vote for it, I will sell the village a park. He did. He put it to a referendum. She sold the park, and that's where it is. That's the example I just want to give you of how thoughtful our mayor was, how much he cared. We don't have on Lake Street, I'm going to speak about Lake Street now, which is okay for Miansky. There's people that walk on the street. There's a shoulder, but the shoulder isn't very wide, and they cannot walk on there. They can't wheel their carriages for their babies, their children. Their little children can't ride bicycles. They can't even go on everything has to be done on the street because that shoulder is being taken up as we speak right now for people that are going across the street. They're already using the shoulder, and that can only get worse. So I'd like you to consider that. That would be nice. Those townhouses and a restaurant, here's what's going to happen. I've seen it done. Cars are going to pull up to the restaurant, and they're not even going to the restaurant. So eventually, the owners will go to the village and say, put up signs for employees and customers only. Well, the people, some of them will ignore it as they usually do. I've seen it done. And so what will happen, and then the owners will come to the village and say, okay, put up a sign there for residents, for the customers. I said that already. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. So what will happen is that they will be towed away. They will get a ticket for no parking, towing, and storage. The townhouse owners, again, they'll come the same way because people will ignore the signs. Some will and go, and then they'll go and park there and go into the restaurant or somewhere else. There again, a sign will have to be put up there, and they too, the people that park there, will get a ticket for parking, a ticket for towing, and a ticket for storage. This goes on all the time wherever you go. I'd like you to consider, this is a small area. I don't even know what we're all doing up here. They should have been I don't know what the law is for courtesy review, but these developers only want one thing only, to make money. And they'll laugh here, then they'll go have a martini and laugh all the way to the bank. That's what they'll do. They don't care about me or my neighbor on Miansky, Lake Street, they don't care about us. They just want us get that money. And that's not fair. I've seen so many people's lives start to be destroyed because we're all old timers, and a lot of us are old timers in this area. And what has happened to the people on across from Oak Beach over there in that area? Signs taken down. Our signs, residential parking signs only, were taken down. At Zurich Manor, they're having a rough time. So it's like a discrimination of the board. You're after us, after the old timers, and that's not fair. We lived here a long time. We built up this town. We played by the rules. We do everything we're supposed to do. Pay our taxes, go to work, raise families, and we don't want to be just pushed out. Nobody ever called us, at least nobody called me and said, hey, we're going to have a meeting. Let's get together and see if we can talk about this area. And what could we, everybody give an idea, what can we do to help us help you and you help us? But nobody from the village ever did it. They just do things, no referendum, no talking to anybody. It's like a dictatorship. And that's not the way I like to see a village run. So I'd like when you take your vote to take it and to think about it. Let your conscience be your guide. Live by the golden rule. Not on your step, not on my step, and most of all, vote with common sense. This is not difficult. This is strictly a common sense issue. That's all it is. You wouldn't want it in any one of your streets. You protect your mothers, your grandmothers, your wife, your children, your pets, because you got sidewalks and you got a nice area, and you got a bigger area there. We don't have that. We're from the old school, the old-timer section, and we're happy. We live peacefully. We don't bother anybody. We have Mexican Americans on our street. We have an African American. We used to have an Oriental American, and we're all living happily together. And I don't like to see any discrimination, specifically for old-timers. And I think my time is going to be up, so before you push me off, let me see if I have anything else here. I just hope that you think about everything I said. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy. I sent packets to all the trustees. Did you all get them? Thank you. Thank you. Did you have time to read it and look it over? Oh, that's good. Thank you. Did everybody get it? I mailed them with my own money. I didn't give it to the village, my own time, hoping, last Monday, a week ago, hoping that everybody would get it before the vote is taken. But only one person got it? Two? I don't know. Thank you. I'm glad you got it, sir. I don't know what to say because there was a lot of other information on there. So I thank you. If you have no questions, I will bid you farewell. God bless you. Let your conscience be your guide, and please vote common sense. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One more chance for public comment. Anybody else want to talk? You already talked. You get one.
I would make an amendment to my, because I just noticed when I came in that the fire department is here in force. So I think maybe they have some concerns about the planning and their access to this.
Yeah, they can speak for themselves, but thank you. Okay, well then I'm gonna. What?
Elvira had her hand up.
Elvira?
I didn't sign up.
There's your chance.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Elvira Michaelek, and I live at 28 Miansky Drive. And I'm not really prepared to speak, but I just wanted to make a comment. I can understand everybody's concern in the neighborhood things are changing. I know this, I've been through this TIF. I've lived here for 48 years. I haven't seen the plan. I'm coming here with an open mind. And I just assume everybody else, especially on that end of the room, has an open mind. You know, I know Lake Zurich has changed dramatically. However, I do want to make a couple comments. One is, it wasn't necessary to sell Block A just because it was in the TIF. The TIF would have paid for itself without being purchased. And that is information I gleaned from the TIF financial annual meetings. So whatever we do, let's not forget some green space. We're going to have a village that is very, very heavily concentrated downtown with population, which was part of the goal for restaurants and everything else. But we really need to have some green space and for the rest of the village to be able to enjoy that. We speak here because we live in the neighborhood. We know how constrained it's going to be. The rest of the village, I mean, let's face it, in this time and this culture, we all live in our own backyards. So, you know, as a local resident, as a local beekeeper, and as someone that is concerned about having the right mix, please consider some green space. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to close public comment for tonight and move on to the president's report. This past Saturday, we had another amazingly successful Rock the Block. Rock the Block doesn't happen without recognizing the support of our major sponsors and volunteers, so I'd like to thank them. First, our presenting major sponsors, Echo Products Management and Staff, Smalley Ring Group, Fidelity Group, John Saphire, Jason Saphire, and their staff, Pat McCoy and the management and staff of Chemco Trucking, Mike Muir and the Muir Insurance Group of Lake Zurich, Ace Hardware Lake Zurich, Factor Hello Fresh, Grand Appliance, Lifetime Fitness, Freddie Martin Jr. and Martin Enterprises Heating and Air Conditioning. Our gold sponsors, LRS Disposal. Our silver sponsors, Lake Zurich Tire and Auto and Jim and Kathy Iverhouse, Baird and Warner Real Estate, ComEd, and the Hawthorne Woods branch bank of Barrington Bank. In addition, Matt and Ann Ping Lovejoy and Lake Zurich Florist, our CERT team, which was on site, the Community Emergency Response Team, the Lake Zurich Lions Club, who let us use their parking lot and the park, and Vault 232. The committee members who put this together, Stephanie and Joe Schweda, Marty Jalove, Janet Barron, Cheryl and Tim Gorey, Bonnie Conti, Jeff Carey, and Kara Marquise, in addition to Village and LZ staff members in the Parks Department. The police and fire worked the event, as well as finance. Ray worked the event. Scott Euler worked the event. All of the chief, the key senior managers worked the event. But particular thank yous to Public Works Director Mike Brown and his staff, Copenhagen Construction and Manhart Consulting, who did one heck of a job getting Main Street ready for Rock the Block, and all the time that they put in doing that. You did a fantastic job, and thank you for that. In addition to that, the people who put the whole thing together on the street, Park Director Bonnie Caputo, Jenna Stanonik, Marissa Boynton, that's up with a B, and Elke Kedzlewski, plus at least 75 other community volunteers. I want to thank them all. We would have never been able to put that event on without all of their help, so thanks to all of them. So next on the President Report is a proclamation for National Rail Safety Week. This proclamation acknowledges the importance of rail safety in the village and proclaims September 15th to the 21st as Rail Safety Week in the village of Lake Zurich. The full text of this proclamation can be seen on the village website. So lastly, I will now turn this over to Fire Chief Dave Pilgard, who will handle the introduction and background of our 2 new firefighters, and I will handle the actual swear-in. So, Chief Pilgard?
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Poynton. Could I please have probationary firefighter Caleb Myers come up? We're here this evening to onboard our 2 newest members of the department, and Caleb is joining us this evening. There you go, sir. Come on up. Caleb completed Fire Academy at Elgin Community College. He holds multiple Illinois State Fire Marshal certifications. He completed his paramedic training at Kishwaukee Community Hospital. Tonight he's also here with his wife Elise, his 3 daughters Eleanor, Emma, and Bella, several other friends and family. And he enjoys time with his family, riding his motorcycle, the outdoors, and his family farm. So Mayor Poynton, I will turn this over to you for the honors of his oath of office.
Alrighty. Come on up here in front with me.
Mayor Poynton, would you like the mic?
Okay, one for you, one for me. So you don't have to memorize it. Okay, raise your right hand. I, Caleb Myers,
I, Caleb Myers,
having been duly appointed to the position of firefighter paramedic
having been duly appointed to the position of firefighter paramedic
in the village of Lake Zurich and the county of Lake,
in the village of Lake Zurich in the county of Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of firefighter paramedic to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a firefighter paramedic to the best of my ability.
Elise, could you please come up for pinning Caleb this evening? Elise, I present to you badge number 118 for Caleb, for you to pin on him this evening. Probationary firefighter Joe Rakovich, could you please come up? Firefighter paramedic Rakovich started his fire service training at the Lake County Tech campus. He then onboarded working part-time at the Grays Lake Fire Protection District. He completed Fire Academy at the Illinois Fire Service Institute Extension Campus at Cherry Valley. He completed his paramedic training at Advocate Condell. Joe enjoys baseball, the outdoors, video games, and spending time with his friends and family. Mayor Poyen?
Okay. I, Joe Rakovich,
I, Joe Rakovich,
or Rakovich, whichever works, Having been duly appointed to the position of firefighter paramedic
having been duly appointed to the position of firefighter paramedic
in the village of Lake Zurich in the county of Lake,
in the village of Lake Zurich in the county of Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of firefighter paramedic to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a firefighter paramedic to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, welcome.
Joe's grandfather will be pinning his badge on him this evening. Could you please come up, sir? Sir, I present you with badge number 119 for pinning on Joe. Thank you, sir. There you go.
I think that's how a retired grandfather should look. I'm going to let my hair grow long now. Okay, that's the end of the president's report, so we'll move on to public comment. Congratulations to both our new firefighters and welcome aboard. So, huh? I said public comment, I meant consent agenda. The titles on the consent agenda will be read by the clerk and approved by a single roll call vote. Any item may be pulled from the consent agenda for discussion or separate vote by any member of the board. So hold on 1 second, we'll let the room clear a little bit, and then you can read the titles.
Are they clear?
Pretty much.
Okay. So 6A, approval of minutes from the village board meeting of September 2nd, 2025. 6B, approval of semi-monthly warrant registered dated September 15th, 2025, totaling $719,902.98. 6C, agreement with M.E. Simpson Company, Inc. for leak detection services in the amount not to exceed $30,780.
Okay, thank you. Any board questions, or is discussion desired on any item, or would anyone like to have any item pulled for a separate vote? Any, no comment? Nope, all good? Okay then, may I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, and a second, please? Motion,
So moves, Spacone.
Mark, okay. And a
Second, Marks.
Mark and Marks. Okay, Kathleen, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Bharadwaj,
Aye.
trustee Marks,
Aye.
trustee Spacone,
Aye.
trustee Shagru,
Aye.
trustee Wider.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, motion carries. We'll move on to new business. We have one item of new business tonight. Trustee Marks.
Thank you, Mayor. So new business item 7A, ordinance granting approval of a development concept plan for a planned unit development, amendment to the zoning map, preliminary plat, and special use permits for a mixed-use development at 173 West Main Street, assigned ordinance hashtag 2025-09-625. In summary, THG Holdings LLC Series 1, represented by Mr. Derek Goodman of the Huron Group, requests approval of a planned unit development, preliminary development plan, zoning map amendment, and preliminary plat of subdivision to redevelop the vacant village-owned property at 173 West Main Street, commonly referred to as Block A. The Huron Group's proposed project, the waterfront of Lake Zurich, is a mixed-use development consisting of a 2-story commercial building and 19 single-family attached townhomes. The 19 townhomes will be arranged within 5 buildings, with each 3-story dwelling to include 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a 2-car garage. The commercial building, set up as a restaurant, will occupy the northern part of the site and will include a 23-space parking lot to the east of the building. Due to the site constraints and the projected parking needs, the applicant will need to secure additional parking spaces nearby as a condition of approval. The Planning and Zoning Commission, PZC, conducted the public hearing on this proposal at their July 16th and August 20th, 2025 meetings. Testimony and concerns from nearby residents and some PZC members focused on density, parking, and overall use of the property. By a vote of 2 to 4, the PZC failed to pass the motion to recommend the approval of the development. Their findings of fact are provided to the board for reference. Staff advised that the proposed development plan would meet the standards for PUDs if the recommended conditions of approval included in the draft ordinance are satisfied.
Sarosh.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening we have Mr. Derek Goodman here to make a brief presentation on the project and to answer any questions of the village board.
Thank you. Derek, you heard public comment?
I did.
If there's anything in there that you can either correct or add to, consider that as you're up there.
We will do throughout. Thank you, Mayor Poyton and trustees. To introduce myself again, my name is Derek Goodman. I'm with the Huron Group, a developer out of Deerfield, Illinois. We are a residential single-family developer and also do commercial projects as well. So this project came forward to us. We were last in front of you in April to sign the agreement to purchase the property located at 173 West Main Street, which is approximately 1.7 acres. When we looked at this site with staff, we talked about the history of the project, which I'll speak to briefly here. But more importantly, we talked about the uses around it. To the south, we have residential. To the north, we have commercial. And to the east, we have residential. So it naturally, being adjacent to some commercial and some residential, makes sense for mixed use. But the property has been sitting there for 20 years. So we asked ourselves, why has it been sitting here so long without being developed since the village purchased it a long time ago? There's been multiple different proposals for the site. Single-family homes, condominium buildings, two or more restaurants on the site, all of which had challenges, which is why they never went past the conceptual stage. We took into account each one of those when we developed this concept to make sure that we can address some of the barriers that those projects had. The site itself has a lot of very complex conditions, some of which were mentioned here today. There aren't sidewalks adjacent to the site. There's no curb and gutter today. There's complex drainage challenges at that lower shelf near Main and Miansky. It's got a high water table, which limits the possibilities for basements and other things of the like. And of course, ingress and egress, which was another concern. I heard trucks traveling through Lake Street and Main Street, which we plan to address here as well. One of the other considerations that we heard, obviously through the master plan for the village, as well as some of the resident feedback during the planning commission, and just talking to residents as we toured the neighborhoods, was that there needs to be a component of public use within the property so that everyone gets to take advantage of the view. While we know that the site doesn't naturally suit itself for a park or other things of that, having a restaurant or a place of gathering where families can go is a natural fit for this site. We also looked holistically at the downtown area. The biggest thing that we've heard, talking to everyone, is not necessarily specific to this project, but I would imagine it would come up in any project for the downtown area, which is parking. We heard it tonight, we heard it at planning and zoning robustly, that parking is a general concern downtown. As a developer looking at one site, when we think about public parking, that's really part of a master plan, more holistic, and how do we address parking as a concern for the community? Some of which was done by adding parallel parking. And we as a developer, as we think about this being our first project at the Village of Lake Zurich, typically try to stay in the village as long as we can. A lot of our past projects, we're doing 2, 3, 4 projects over the course of a few years, growing on what we learned and collaborating together and building rapport with staff and the trustees. As we look at this project, we feel that this might be the first project, if approved, leading into multiple other projects in downtown. And we've already been talking to staff about how we can add more centrally located retail establishments. When I say centrally located, being a half a mile down on Main Street is not the best place for retail. The best place for retail is at the center of town, Main and Old Rand Road. Accessible public parking venues. How do we look at parking more holistically and collaborating with the village to create parking lots that aren't part of a residential community but might be separate or dedicated for public use? I actually found one. I was at Rock the Block on Saturday night near the floral shop that was 50% occupied at 8 o'clock at night, which I was surprised. Kind of hidden away back there. People might not know about it, but there is a big public parking lot there as well. So we're thinking about other ways to incorporate that in some other development work we may do as we expand with Lake Zurich. So as I mentioned, when we looked at this site, we knew it had to be a combination of mixed use, both residential and commercial. The site itself, being that commercial is to the north, makes sense that the commercial aspect of the site is at the northwest corner, and the residential is at the south, adjoining the south. It also addresses a lot of the detention and drainage challenges with the site, where stormwater needs to travel, and is why we have the storm and the parking lot where it is on our site plan. It's really one of the only ways to address some of the detention challenges with this site and the high water table. And you'll see we've also incorporated here to showcase the 15 new additional parking spots, the 25 or so parking spots that we have in the commercial, and we're working on adding additional parking on the site in collaboration over the next couple weeks as we look at final engineering. We also have dedicated parking, which I'll talk about, in each residence for guests, as well as 4 community guest parking spaces within the site. You'll see there is a lot of green on this site plan. I heard the need for green space. We strongly believe in that. There's a very robust landscape plan that's going to this to add trees and shrubs, as well as the detention with naturally laced water. This is just a rendering of the townhomes and the materials that will be used. There's 8 townhomes that face the water, and then a 2-story restaurant as well, which faces the water. Both have outdoor spaces, balconies on the townhomes, and outdoor spaces on both floors of the restaurant space. The townhomes themselves are 2,550 square feet. That doesn't include the garage, which is another roughly 400 square feet. We typically don't include that when we look at square footage. Each of those homes has adequate space for a 2-car garage, as well as 2 guest parking spaces in the driveway. The driveway meets the village specifications for a single-family home driveway, so no different than a 2-car attached single-family home driveway that you'd find throughout the village. The second floor is primarily for entertainment, dining, family rooms, and your third floor you're going to find 3 bedrooms with bathrooms as well. Each of the parcels also, being that their garage is from the rear, has a 4-foot aluminum fence in the front, gating their front yards and creating green space for them to take advantage as well. There's a variety of premium materials we've selected to use. We are using John Hardy board, which is a fiber cement product with a 30-year warranty, versus vinyl or aluminum products, which might be more affordable. This is more of a premium type of siding product. And use a combination of vertical and horizontal siding. We're using black, a more premium color, for the windows and doors, and we'll have masonry both at the front and side elevations that face public ways, as well as the rear of the building. The restaurant space, as we look at the restaurant space, we are actively talking to potential tenants. Of course, we need to have a preliminary plat prior to signing any leases. So this is conceptual and may be slightly modified, particularly was looked at the interior, the floor plan, how they lay out, how they want their kitchen. But the commercial space is roughly a 70 by 80 building box, not including the parking spot, which is a great size for a business to come in and have a very nicely appointed restaurant. When we looked at laying it out, we looked at family dining on the first floor, being convenient for people on the promenade or walking down Main Street, being able to come in right off the street, off the public walk, coming into the restaurant, getting seated at a table with their family. The second floor, as we look at that for us is more of entertainment and event space. So if you have a family and you want to have a birthday party, you might be able to rent out a dining room space there. If they want to have live music on the patio, for example, in the evenings for sunset, a guitar player or something of that nature, they might do things like that. So it allows itself with the garages to open up and have a very open air feel, being that it's on the water for everyone to take advantage of. It's just a preliminary floor plan. Again, the floor plan would be modified based on the tenant's use. I wanted to go back to the site plan real quick. I did not mention one thing that was brought up in today's meeting. It's not very clear here, but working with Public Works along Lake Street and Miansky, we are looking at adding public sidewalk and curb and gutter. I think there was a point brought up that people walking from Miansky or Lake Street have challenges, being that it's not a typical roadway with sidewalk getting down to Main Street, especially with the new beautiful sidewalks that were put in. Those would connect right into there, which I think is great for people who do want to walk down to the promenade. We're also going to be adding another crosswalk. There was one put in. I can't remember if that's at Miansky or it's on Miansky now. We'll be adding another one on Lake Street to allow people to cross easily over to the promenade, which I think will be beneficial for residents that live to the east. So just some kind of takeaways from our point of view. You know, we were here about 5 months ago. We spent 5 months doing, obviously, due diligence on the property, looking at the water table, doing soil borings. What could possibly go here? How does stormwater need to be managed? And like I said, the site is very challenging for a typical site to be built on. But we've spent a tremendous amount of time with Public Works, the engineer, the broader staff, working to come up with this plan that we feel is well suited for the site and addresses a lot of the village's concerns, as well as residents and what was brought up in the Planning Commission. We also think that we understand that parking, as I said, is a general concern, and we feel that we're definitely open to the condition of the PUD, where for that commercial site to be built, we would be looking for public parking within 500 feet and having that available to the restaurant guests and staff. As I mentioned from the beginning, most importantly, we want to make sure that this space, the restaurant, the outdoor space, the type of restaurant and tenant that goes in, it can be used by all community members, regardless of age or demographic. It's a place for people to go, take a look out at the water, have a great meal, walk the promenade after dinner, whatever it might be. So we just want to say thank you for the comments that everyone's put forth so far. We're happy to address any other comments that come up throughout the process, and happy to answer any questions that the trustees or mayor may have at this time.
Okay, thank you, Derek. I'm going to open up to the board for comments. Start at Roger. So Roger Shakru.
Thank you. So I have a couple of questions, and we'll start off with snow removal. So obviously, we're going to get snow, and if we pull up the site plan, there's going to be limited space of where you can place that snow. Can you guys kind of just elaborate of where you're looking at for that?
So that's a great question. There are areas around the stormwater, as well as there's a 6-foot space between the eastern property line of the roadway and the next property line where snow can be stored. These are private roadways, so it would be plowed privately and stored on site.
On site, you said?
On site.
Okay. Got it. Another question got brought up about the commercial tenant and dumpsters. I don't see a spot yet, and maybe it hasn't been fully flushed out yet, but as far as dumpsters, where would the commercial dumpster be sitting on this site plan?
We could bring that back up, I don't know. So in the site plan, there is a trash room right here on the building. It is contained within the building, so the door's open to the outside. It's like a metal vault that goes on the back of the building, where the trash service could access it from the public parking lot in off-business hours. That, again, when I say it's a 70 by 80 building pad, the building may get slightly smaller, as we get a tenant and work further beyond a preliminary plat. In that case, that may become its own dedicated gated area. That's something we definitely need to flesh out.
Okay. Can you remind people kind of the average cost you're potentially looking at for the housing? Because we hear there's not enough affordable housing, right, in the community. Can you remind, the people of what price range you're at least looking at?
Yeah, that's a good point. So again, it's always difficult to quote pricing until we have all the numbers together and the final plan and engineering. Based on our preliminary estimates when we came in in April, we're looking at the home starting at $549 for a 2,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 3-bath home.
I'm sure you're tired of talking about parking, but I think,
Yeah.
watching the PCC, listening to the community, that's the obvious biggest concern. And so I do appreciate the kind of the PUD, the further conversation about parking, right, of wherever they may live. And it has to be 500 feet within the property line, correct, or away from the property line. That is going to address kind of that issue. I don't know how much more we could talk about it as far as village staff, but that's basically what it is, right? So we have, it sounds like very limited parking on the actual commercial property, but we're looking into that, and it sounds like we potentially have a few options further down the road. Mr. Roche, anything to add on it? Not to put you on the spot. but-
Only to say that due to the unique nature of our Main Street area, our code very specifically allows for parking to be located off premises within 500 feet, which isn't really the case outside of our Main Street area. Understanding that there are going to be higher densities, there are going to be a large number of uses, and a lot of walkability. The zoning code looks at the fact that if businesses were to be established and be successful, that parking needed to be provided off premises as well.
Understood. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're done, Raj?
Yes.
Greg?
Yeah.
Greg Weiner?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, thank you for your continued interest in Lake Zurich. I was at the zoning and planning meeting. I understand the challenges of the process, but it's an open process. I think it's a process that works. It gives people an opportunity to weigh in. I think your group has done a nice job of listening to what folks have had to say. We're never going to get to a spot where 100% of the people are 100% pleased with 100% of the projects. So again, just thank you for your thoughtful approach to what we've seen tonight. Two issues that I have, and I think you guys are ahead of this and are moving forward, but I just kind of want to reinforce it. I think I even mentioned it in April. Drainage is going to be an issue, which of course you already know, and it sounds like there's a plan in place to address that. I'm very well aware of the unique challenges with that particular piece of property, but I don't know that everyone in the village is. So I appreciate the thoughtful nature that your group has taken to still be interested in developing that property, but meeting the diverse needs of that. And again, parking is an issue. I think anytime we have any project in town, folks are concerned about parking. And again, it sounds like that you're taking a proactive approach to that, so I appreciate that. Again, it's been a long journey for our village, as you mentioned. It's been 20 years. I've been here all 20 of those years, not necessarily here at the dais, but living in town. So I appreciate your interest. I appreciate your company's willingness to invest in Lake Zurich in this particular project and potentially projects down the line. That this is not, I think one of the public speakers today implied that, you know, sometimes there's these one and done folks, they're in, they make their money, they move on out of town. And I will say that I've had that concern, you know, over the years. But that doesn't necessarily sound like this is the case, that, you know, you're invested in making this particular project the best it could be, but also looking at continuing to develop things in our village. So I appreciate that, and I thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mark Spacone?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your interest, obviously, in continuing the work. Really, the only questions I have based out of this, as I look at all the standards, Sarosh, and we only have a handful of them that are partially met. Everything else seems to have been met. The only one are the bulk, let's see, the bulk requirements being requested to, relief of bulk requirements. Can you explain that a little bit so people would understand what that means?
Yeah, bulk requirements are setbacks, height of buildings, lot area.
Right.
And I think the bulk requirement that they were looking at, which would be the minimum landscape surface area, which they will be accomplishing through stormwater management.
Okay.
Stormwater management will be accomplished both on site and on the surrounding areas.
Right.
And based on what we finally see after they've committed to the numbers that we've included in our staff report, we believe that they will ultimately meet the stormwater management requirements as well.
And really, that was my only question, because I feel like all of the other standards will be met when we're done through this process, and that was the only one that was kind of, seemed a little iffy for me.
Yes.
But it looks like we're gonna be okay in that area.
Yes, and specifically for the Main Street area, the B2 Central Business District, which is the zoning classification that the development for the Main Street area, for the restaurant will be classified, there are no setback requirements.
Okay.
Because they do allow for zero lot line development because of the original character of the Main Street. The townhomes are being developed using the R6 single-family residential district, and as such, based on comparable densities to other developments in town, such as Canterbury Estates, as well as the Somerset townhomes.
Right.
They are lower than the density that Somerset townhomes were built at, but right on in line with the Canterbury Estates development. So if anyone would like to see what that kind of density that they are proposing looks like as built already, Canterbury Estates would be a good example on Route 22.
That's a great explanation, thank you. And if you haven't been downtown in the last several weeks to see the amazing transformation that's gone on down there, I know Director Brown has done a tremendous amount of work of helping with stormwater runoff, and all that work that went in is also helping alleviate that load, which is gonna help this load as well, because I think they all work together. And so through all of that planning and all of that investment that we put in over the last several months to get that project up and running and now near completion, I think overall it's just gonna be a great experience for all of the stormwater runoff, because there's been a coordinated effort to make sure it all works together.
We're not done.
I know we're not done, but we've got a lot of work that's been completed already, and it shows. And this is all going to go hand in hand. So with those standards being met, I have no other concerns about this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sue? Okay. Jake?
Thank you, Mayor. Derek, thank you for the proposal and for continuing to serve as a kind of open font of knowledge about this project for the community. I just have a couple of questions. Someone said earlier, this is a simple decision and it's common sense. I would just like to point out the fact that we've been waiting 20 years and now we have a viable proposal that actually has merit and is worthy of consideration. So Derek, if you could just walk us through a couple of the issues related to the site, specifically the complexity of the site itself and the drainage issues, because I think a lot of the design as it is today exists by virtue of those challenges. So if you're able to provide just a little more clarity to the community on why the site is laid out as it is and what the grading challenges are, I think that will help put some parameters around why the proposal is the way that it is.
Sure. I'm not an engineer, I'll do my best. And then Director Brown, if you want to add anything as well. So a couple things. I mean, if you look at Miansky and Lake Street, the elevations of the streets are vastly different between the two streets and Main Street. So you've sort of got like this kind of obtuse looking shape that is all wonky up and down as well. And then you look at Lake Street alone, and you'll see the Lake Street jumps way up the back 50% of the site, or furthest east points of the site.
Can you put up the site plan
Yeah,
again?
let me go. It's actually up, so there we go. So this portion of Lake Street actually rises significantly, and this rises as well, but not nearly at the grade that this rises, with Main Street being the lowest point. When we look at drainage, when we look at drainage, you know, when water travels, right, based on a hill going downwards. So thinking about this being the highest point, water's going to travel this way. This being the lowest point in pretty much most of the downtown area. In fact, the stormwater drains into Lake Zurich right here. Lake Zurich, from what I understand, and again, I'm not an expert, is privately held, not by the Village of Lake Zurich. That organization, due to the fact that Lake Zurich hasn't been dredged, has maintained the water table at a very high level in the lake. So when the water's high and your drain's coming down into the lake and the drain's partially below water, water can start to back up if it gets too high. So let's say there's a massive rain event which happens every 50, 100 years. You know, those pipes start to back up. So when we thought about drainage, you know, first and most importantly, we wanted something that looks aesthetically pleasing. We have a natural detention pond above ground. Being that everything is going to drain to that northwest corner, we also have now worked with the village to put underground detention storage as well. In the event that there is a massive rain event and water starts to back up, that water backup doesn't impact just this property, mind you, it impacts the entire neighborhood. So we're going to act as sort of a storage outlet for some of that as well underneath that parking lot. It actually expands down almost to the stormwater here, all the way over to the alley, back up. There will be underground detention that stores overflow. In the event that filled up, there's even a sort of a third backup plan, which is that water then can back up into the parking lot and be retained by the curb and gutter and the pitch of the parking lot to store the water. But the layout of the site generally is all driven by that stormwater. A couple other things to mention. When the site was demolished, and this could have been before it was demolished, there is a significant amount of fill, which is sort of unsuitable soils that need to be removed from the site, which is a costly endeavor. And in addition to that, the site at some portions throughout has a very high water table. When you have a high water table, you can't dig too deep. You start hitting that water, you lose structural support. So, you know, our foundations are going to go roughly 42-inch below grade on newly compacted soils for the townhomes and the restaurant.
That's really, really helpful to have that additional context. Thank you.
Welcome.
If I could ask a question of staff, Mike or Sarosh. A few people were talking about traffic in this area, and I'd appreciate your insight and guidance on what the renovations and improvements to Main Street in that area are meant to do to traffic, because obviously it's a smaller, tighter area, but I would imagine that's in service of creating a slower traffic pattern, something that's much more easily navigated by pedestrians. So if you could just lay out what the village's thought process is for that space.
That's probably Mike, right? Yeah.
Sarosh is my audio guy. Sorry about that.
Tag team.
So you're exactly right, Trustee Marks. First and foremost, the goal of not just the promenade area was Main Street as well, is to slow people down. The design to narrow the roadways, to add the medians, to everything we're doing was to enhance the pedestrian experience. That was the number one goal in hand, and I think we've achieved it, albeit we're not open yet, we're not done yet, but in the end, that is the maximum benefit that we want to see, is to slow people down, protect the pedestrian traffic. What we saw was the spark with the Sunset Pavilion and the energy going on down there. We had to, and then the energy that's hopefully popping here tonight, and then popping with everything we're doing, was protect and slow people down and give that walkability in our downtown.
Perfect, Mike, thank you. And I just want to reiterate, that's part of the village's comprehensive plan, is to improve the walkability of our downtown. And while change is always uncomfortable, growth necessitates change. So there may be people who are uncomfortable with the proposal as is, but I think we have a developer who's shown that they're willing to have a dialogue with the community and go through an iterative process. I think my last point would be third spaces you can attend without paying money are becoming more and more rare these days. And I was just up at Melody Farms in Vernon Hills the other weekend. And if there's an opportunity at all for this development to feature like a third space that people can enjoy without having to put a credit card on the table, I'd highly encourage it. Obviously, we have the promenade over there, but those third spaces are the stitching which brings a community together and gives space for people to interact with each other and go through the organic discovery of what community is. But otherwise, really, really impressed with the proposal and the thought that you put into it, so thank you.
Thank you.
I need a little education there. What are you talking about with a third space? What's that? What is that?
Third
concept?
spaces are places in public people can attend without having to pay money. So like a park. Parks are the last third space.
Okay. Sue, anything? No. At this point? Okay. Ali, can you cue up the picture that I gave you? So I'm going back in the Wayback Machine here a little bit so that you can understand where we were and where we're going. That is a picture of one of two restaurants that was on the property on Block A on the street. That's a side entrance of Twins, which was also later known as the Rock and Roll Grill. And as you can see, there is residential behind it that goes back a significant way. Okay, the next one, Ali. That's the front view of it. That was right on Main Street. And the next one, Ali. That's that is J.J. Twiggs. And if you notice, J.J. Twiggs is right on the street, very little parking, residential on the left side, which was a house. That was the eminent domain house from years ago. And if you look down the street, there's even more houses. There was no view of the lake at that point in time for people who wanted to use the lake. None, zero. You drove by, there was a steel guardrail that protected people from going into the water, and that was the name of that tune. So there were 8 buildings on the 1.7 acres, which was included in 10 pins. The number of buildings that faced on Route 22 was 4, just the restaurant, the 2 restaurants, and 2 residences. 2 of those were bars. They were nice little bars at one point in time. Rock and Roll Grill was often referred to as a biker bar. So whatever is being done here is going to enhance whatever was there. Now, in 2002 and 2003, previous board made the decision to clear that property for some ill-designed redevelopment project that never occurred and ended up putting us almost $30 million in debt. The cost, and I've used this before, the cost to taxpayers to buy Block A was $3.5 million. That's how much taxpayer money went into that to buy it. That doesn't include legal and consulting fees. And those were purchased and accumulated from December 2003 to 2004, and since that time, it's been an empty lot. An empty lot that we've had to maintain. We did use it for a couple of years as the site for a food truck event on 1 day a week. It became a parking lot that people, an unofficial parking lot where people could view the lake, and that was good. But these properties have been off the tax roll for 22 years. 22 years. At one point in time, as a result of this renewal, we had 37 properties. We owned 37 properties that we bought to do this renewal that never happened. We're down to 2 now. This one and Block B, which is up the street a little bit. How much did it cost us to maintain that over the years? I don't know. Do you have any idea?
You're bringing back some memories here when I looked at both of those buildings. And Derek, I think you probably remember him too. He had back in, right? Your dad. But if you can bring that picture back up, one of the biggest thing that really jumps out to me is the investment that we made in that parcel, just for the overheads, the underground. You know, we made the choice. So that's all that's all in the pot as well. I mean, we made the choice to invest.
By the overheads, you're talking about the electrical wires,
That's
which
right.
are now all underground.
We relocated everything there all the way to the intersection of Old Rand and Main Street.
So in effect, we have created that space for better public use since this thing went south.
Including the project this year.
Right. In addition to that, I've got a file here that I've collected since day one of 15 different proposals that we've looked at since 2002. None of them came to fruition. 2 of them had, or 3 of them had a restaurant component that we literally forced on the petitioners at the time, because that's what people told us they wanted. They wanted a feed me and entertain me kind of locale there, and that's what we were presented. Nobody has come to us. Nobody's come to us with any kind of a retail component whatsoever, besides a restaurant. So just to be clear on that, this project and them buying the property, however that turns out, and whatever else turns out, is, I'm not going to say it's our last best chance, because we could have said that since 2002 had we taken some of those proposals. And those proposals, some of them looked halfway decent. Most of them wanted the property for free. They wanted us to abate taxes for, I don't know, however many years they could get, not pay any fees, and cost us more money, and we would have never gotten underneath, out from underneath it. So I just wanted to bring that up as a reminder of what was there and what we've done. There were some other issues that I wanted to talk about. One was the parking issue. I've lived here since 1985, and I have never, ever, not once, had an issue finding a parking spot in Lake Zurich's Main Street or downtown area for any business that I wanted to go to. Never. Maybe I had to walk a half a block or a parking lot that was someplace, but it was never an issue. To me, the parking issue is one that's, it's important, don't get me wrong, but when I look at how we've created parking in the residential areas, we have ordinances that create parking for all the subdivisions, right? So you got a 2-car garage and you got 2 spaces in the driveway, but if you fill that 2-car garage up with all the crap that you can't fit in the house, now you've gotten rid of 2 parking spots, and you got 5 cars in there because the kids now all have all these little cars and they're parking sideways in the bottom. And we're creating our own parking issues in every one of these subdivisions. So I know that parking is important, but I think it just needs to be looked at a little more logically. And the last thing about parking is we'll never, ever, ever accommodate the parking that we need for a special event. But I don't know a town that does. Maybe Arlington Heights is a little better off, not Arlington Heights, but Libertyville with their parking garage is a little better off than we are. But we can't do it. We had 9,000 people in the street on Saturday. They all parked someplace. Many of them walked. Many of them had to walk more than like 10 feet. So I'm not as concerned about the parking issue. I would like you to consider, staff, how you can protect the on-street parking in front of those townhomes from the townhome people using them. Because I think somebody brought up the issue of who's going to use those parking spaces. But again, looking at the neighborhoods, if you have a party, you know, your kid graduates from high school, you're not putting 60 cars in your driveway. You're parking them all up and down the street and maybe around the corner. So I would like to keep that parking open the best we can for all of the residents who want to cross the street, enjoy the lake, on the promenade that we've created that never existed before. Couple more things. There was a comment during the PZC meeting about school overcrowding, and I'm going to get that off, even though nobody brought it up tonight. From a reliable school board person, the comment was, residents are begging for support in our overcrowded schools. Well, the fact of the matter is our overcrowded schools aren't even close to capacity. Some primary grade levels have high class size due to occasional increased bubbles at those levels. But by contract with the teachers union, the classes can only hit 28. Even at 23 and 24, the teacher will get an aide. The high school, which at one time was 2,300 kids in the school, is now at 1,900. It went from a Class 7A in football to Class 6A, and there's no overcrowding, except for the occasional bubble. And this year's kindergarten class was lower than it has been for a couple of years. So if you want to talk about what Lake Zurich is doing to create this overcrowding thing, first you got to look at what's happening around us. At the end of my street in Killdeer, 95 single-family homes went up. Big homes with a lot of potential for a lot of kids. We're putting up I forget how many townhomes somebody said.
19.
You're putting up 19, but one of the commenters had a different number.
30-something.
40, 59, whatever it was, putting up 19 townhomes. And that's a far cry from 95, 3,500 square foot single-family homes with oodles of kids hanging around. So anyway, I got more, but I'm not going to go any further on this. Those were just some burrs in my saddle that I wanted to make public. And any other comments from anybody then?
No, I don't want to put any more burrs in your saddle.
Don't do that. So, okay. Everybody good? Anything else you want to add? Derek?
I'm good, thank you.
Thoreau? Jake?
Back to me. So, recommended action. A motion to approve ordinance hashtag 2025-09-625, granting approval of a mixed-use, granting approval of a development concept plan for a planned unit development, amendment to the zoning map, preliminary plat, and special use permits for a mixed-use development at 173 West Main Street.
Okay, you're making the motion,
I'm making the motion.
and I need a second.
Second whiter.
Greg? And Kathleen, please call the roll.
Okay. Trustee Marks.
Aye.
Trustee Spicone.
Aye.
Trustee Chagru.
Aye.
Trustee Wider.
Aye.
Trustee Baradwaj.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the good presentation as well. Okay, that's the end of new business tonight. We'll move on to trustee reports. Are there any trustee reports or stray board comments tonight? Mark, you always have a stray board comment. Nothing, okay. Nope.
Yeah, I've got one.
Jake?
Jeff? Oh, yeah, Jeff's not here, I'm Jake.
Jake.
I just want to, in light of the references to the Zoning and Planning Commission meeting, I just want to encourage everybody in the community, if you have an opinion to voice, please email the village staff, the board members, or appear before one of the bodies, because a lot of references are made to social media, but we cannot allow our votes to be guided by social media. I think at this point, the jury is pretty well decided on the influence of social media on society, and I think it's probably for the worse. So the village has done a great job being transparent, promoting transparency, but a thriving community also relies on the participation of its citizens. So just want to thank those that have come out tonight to voice their opinion, and I hope more do later, and just really proud to be a resident of Lake Zurich.
Okay, thank you. And just for clarification, where'd Michael go? Oh, okay. The PCC was on Facebook, and it was also on our TV station, correct? The TV? Yeah. So it was, huh? Yeah.
And on the website.
It's archived on the village webpage, and it's on Facebook as well. And it was on Facebook Live, and it's still hanging there, so. And we had all the plans in the packet tonight, and we've had notice of this meeting and other meetings and what's happening on those properties multiple times in benchmarks. So I just want to make that clear. Any staff reports tonight? Nope. Anybody? Mike? Nope. Okay. Okay, that's it for tonight. May I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting and a second, please?
So moved, Marks.
Second, Spacone.
Marks and Mark. Please call the roll, Kathleen.
Trustee Spacone?
Aye.
Trustee Chagru?
Aye.
Trustee Wyder?
Aye.
Trustee Baradwaj?
Aye.
Trustee Marks?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Meeting
Appreciate it.
adjourns at 8:17.